Well, it's my happy role to follow that amazing speech and also to talk about, well, my name's Andy Fellows. I'm the Chesapeake Regional Director for Clean Water Action and Clean Water Fund. And the reason I'm up here, though, mostly is because I'm the mayor of College Park, Maryland as well. And I'm, and we are one of those municipalities that send our waste to Blue Plain. WSSC conveys it there. Our drinking water is brought by WSSC from the Patuxent River and the Potomac River. Our stormwater is managed by Prince George's County. And we are a municipality among many other municipalities in the Chesapeake region that really depend on the federal role in working with state and local partners to implement the watershed implementation plans. And it's my happy role to introduce someone who's going to be moderating a panel that will be discussing this issue. Jim Edward, we have something queued up. He began his life as a professional ballroom dancer. But he also, he went to Rutgers, got his degree in landscape architecture from Rutgers, regional planning from University of Massachusetts. He's also gotten his senior executive fellows program at Harvard Kennedy School of Government. He came, though, to the Chesapeake Bay Program with the Obama administration, and he's helped oversee a transition from the Chesapeake Bay Agreement, implementation of the Chesapeake Bay Agreement, which was really a voluntary program, to what is now a real paradigm shift in the Chesapeake Bay. With this president, Barack Obama, the executive order and the implementation of the executive order really means that we are now going to be enforcing the Clean Water Act, which was passed almost 40 years ago. This is an opportunity for a mandatory approach towards developing in collaborations with federal, state, and local officials what we need to do on the ground to manage our stormwater, to manage our wastewater, to also control all sources of pollutants. So I am, Jim Edward has been the acting director since May of 2010. He came again right at the beginning of the Obama administration to the Chesapeake Bay Program. And so I'm happy to introduce to you, and I don't actually see him. I see him coming up. It's Jim Edward, the acting director of the Chesapeake Bay Program of the Environmental Protection Agency. Warm welcome.
Thank you, Andy. Actually going to ask the other panel members to mosey on up and grab your seats. There's a set of steps on the other side, and I'll just get started. As Andy mentioned, actually my first day at the Bay Program as a deputy director was January 20th of 2009, so I'd like to say I started my job there the same day as that guy with the funny name. When I remember my first meeting, Peter might remember this, with the management staff there, I said, you know, I really think it would be a neat idea if we had an executive order for, you know, federal agencies and, you know, tried to push that forward. I remember Peter saying, that's a stupid idea. Don't do that, you know. And there's been a lot of talk the last couple of days here about what a historic moment we've got here with the final Bay TMDL in place almost 2 weeks ago tomorrow. And I totally agree with that, but also want to recognize the work of our federal partners, some of whom are in this room, and a pretty historic event in and of itself that happened since we had our conference last January. You had your conference, I should say. And that was the executive order that President Obama issued, and the executive order strategy that was issued this past May, as well as the first annual federal agency action plan required under that executive order, which was issued on September 30th and calls for the federal government in FY11 alone to spend almost $500 million on bay protection and bay restoration efforts. And as part of the work that you all do in the grassroots community, I want to encourage you as we move through the FY11 budget process. Most of you know we're still on a continuing resolution that money gets in the hands of the 11 federal agencies that are on the federal leadership committee for the Chesapeake Bay, and that we actually get the funding we need and are able to put that towards the cleanup and restoration efforts for the Bay. So I encourage you to do what you can on that front. I also want to add my thanks to our state partners. Much has been said the last day or so about the tremendous job they did at sort of getting to yes on the final TMDL. I agree with what Jeff Corbin said yesterday, that I also, I'm not a betting man, but I would not have put money on the fact that we would have made the December 31st deadline a year ago. I'm not even sure I would have put money on that in September of this year. So from where we were at the draft TMDL and with the draft whips and where we are today is really a tremendous effort. And as Secretary Hanger said, during that negotiation process between September and November, December, we were all good partners and we were all good listeners, and I think that helped, but I think even more so, the reason we're able to get to yes and get to the final TMDL is largely because of the foundation of the Bay Program that's been built over the past 25 years. We had that to build upon, to sort of, you know, like the strength of a good marriage. You've got that through the rough times, and it enables you to get there when you really need it. You can lean on that to back you up. So I really think that made a tremendous difference throughout the process in getting us there. I also want to thank each and one of every one of you in the room. It's been mentioned 14,000 public comments on the draft TMDL. I know many of you were behind those comments, attended the numerous public meetings, which you're probably sick of at this point, but it was good to hear your voices at those public meetings and to read through the public comments. As was also mentioned, over 90% of those comments were in favor of the TMDLs we had structured at the draft stage, so that helped us and enable us to get to yes at the end of the day. Also adding to the historic year, I guess I'll thank CBF for being our left flank, and for the, I won't say I'll thank him for suing EPA, but for getting to a settlement agreement back in May, which will keep us tied to some tight time frames. We're, as you know, EPA is a large bureaucracy, and we need you and the CBFs and the coalitions of the world to push us, to make sure you're out there to get us to do what we want to do. We need you out there to be the voice that sometimes we cannot be. So thanks again for all of that. Also, while I've got the podium, I really want to take an opportunity to just thank my staff. They're just incredible. It really was a team effort. It was folks in Annapolis, Philadelphia, New York, DC. It was about the Chesapeake Bay Program, and we've got our small office there in Eastport. But this was really a national precedent-setting effort, and was treated that way at EPA headquarters. We had, starting with the issuance of the draft TMDL, we had weekly 8 a.m. meetings with our Deputy Administrator, Bob Percisepi, and the Administrator's Senior Legal Counsel, Bob Sussman, Assistant Administrator for Water. So, I mean, every week we were checking in at the highest levels of the agency to make sure we got this right. So it truly was that kind of an effort, and it was a team effort across the board. And again, I just really want to thank my staff. I think you folks know, being in, a lot of you are in smaller organizations where you know what difference a single person can make in your watershed, in your county, in your town. And while this was a team effort, there's one person I want to thank, Catherine Antos. Stand up. If you don't know Catherine now, you'll get to know her. She joined our staff about a year ago, and there's no question in my mind we would not be here today with the final TMDL if it were not for her. Chuck Fox had his moments, but Catherine saved the day. So thank you, Catherine.